Okay, so I'm going to talk about the prevalence, the symptoms, impacts, and the risk factors, potential causes, the treatments, and such for diabetes. So I found this really good site, and I'm pretty sure everyone's heard of it, or you've heard of it. It's the American Diabetes Association, and it's got some really good information on here. It says that the prevalence is 29 million Americans, which is 9.3 of the population, which is kind of, I mean, that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's pretty high. And then it shows how much it's gone up from 2010 to 2012, which also doesn't seem like a lot, but it's going up, and it's went up by 4% in the past 2 years. So that's of 2010 to 2012. So that's, I don't know what it would be now. This is just recent, I guess, from what they've gotten, back then. But if they were to do it, updated, I'm pretty sure it's a lot higher now. So in 2016, the new cases are 1.4 million Americans diagnosed with it every year, which is that brings back the point of how much it goes up. There are also a lot of people suffering from just pre-diabetes. It says 86 million Americans of age just 20 and older. 86 million. This is up 79 million in 2010. So it went from 79 million in 2010 to 86. So that's a pretty big increase. That's for just 2 years. Diabetes does affect the youth. People may not think it does. They think that just because we're young, we can eat whatever we want, which is the case with some people. Reading about this in this chapter, it does say some people's bodies are different, and more obese people tend to have diabetes, which is really what I've read is really not the case. They said that it's kind of contradictory because a lot of thin people have it because insulin actually stops working. It kind of counteracts when you're binge eating, and it goes up. Your insulin stops to work. Your insulin stops, so it causes you to, I guess it causes you to become obese, but it can also happen in thin people. So, I mean, I know a lot of thinner people that have diabetes, and I know a lot of bigger people that have diabetes. So it just depends on your body and how much insulin is being produced in your body. Also, the race breakdown of diabetes is pretty different as well. With the natives, from as well, Logue has stated this as well, and it's also on here. American Indians and natives have a higher chance of having diabetes with 15%. And then it goes from that to blacks, to Hispanics, to Asian Americans, and then to whites, which is the lowest, 7.6%. So really, since a lot of us in the U.S. are mixed with various different races and such, like I'm mixed with Native American, and I'm also mixed with also mixed with Hispanics, and mixed with and just white. So I've got a lot of mixtures in me. So, and I have a lot of diabetes that are in my family. Actually, I have a lot of people on my mother's side actually suffers from it. So, with that being said, the deaths of diabetes is relatively high. With 2010, it said 69,000 reported on their death certificates that it was from diabetes. That was what killed them. And also, it was also mentioned. It was also mentioned the cause of death. So it was the underlying cause of death of 69,000. Sorry, I already read that. Read that wrong. And then the diabetes, actual just mention of the cause of death, like it being part of the problem, was almost 300,000. So, in all, with both cases, that's close to 500,000 people dying just in 2010 from that disease alone. There's also some studies that found 35 to 40% who had died from diabetes didn't list it. So, I mean, it could be higher than that. There could be more, a lot more cases that they just didn't list it, because diabetes can really affect a lot of things. It even has it right here, what it can really affect, like what we talked about in the chapter: hypoglycemia, hypertension, It can also it can cause heart attack rates to go up. It can cause stroke, blindness, eye problems, kidney disease, amputations if someone's their blood sugar level drops too low or too high. It can cause them to actually have to get amputations. Um, so I mean, with all of this, it costs the health field in the United States. It says a total of $245 billion in just 2012 alone. So that's a lot of money and a lot of people that are dying from this disease, and I think it can be controlled if we figure out how to educate people on what to do if they do suffer from diabetes or if they have it in their genes, because it can come from being genetically from being in your genes, from getting it from your grandma or your mom, because I have a strong chance of getting it because it's on both sides. But I also go to the gym a lot and work out and do a lot of running, and I try to stay fit and try to eat healthy, and I try to do what I'm supposed to do. And it does say if you exercise a lot, you try to maintain slimmer, like a healthy weight, and you do what you're supposed to, and such. You can be that one that doesn't get it. I mean, just because you have it doesn't mean you're going to get it. You have to give it you have to feed the diabetes something for it to actually become available to your body to start, for it to actually happen. So that's what people don't understand. They think, oh, it's in my family, I'm going to get it anyways. Yes, you could get it. It could actually just hit you, it could just get you. You could be a very healthy person, and then when you get older, you can end up getting it. But that being said, you could still decrease your chances by being healthy, because it does tend to affect older people. But diabetes can affect anyone. I've known friends that were my age that's had it, and they've had it to the point of having pumps and having to get insulin pumps. And my nanny, the one that she passed away actually from congestive heart failure, which is part of her diabetic problem. She had really bad type 2 diabetes, where she had to actually get insulin shots and such like that. So, it really, it might not seem like a big deal, but there are a lot of ways that you can overcome it by eating foods with low. I was reading online, eating foods with low sugars in them, like the GI indexes and the GI scores. It was talking about like how someone can eat a vanilla cake, and it's the same kind of index as a carrot, as eating carrots, but the score, which is like the overall like serving, is a lot higher. That's actually what we talked about on the discussion post than it is for carrots. So you got to really look at that too, because that really is what matters, is your food consumption of whatever you're eating. Like you can eat, people with diabetes can eat something sweet every now and then. Like my nanny, she would eat sweet, sweet foods every once in a while, because her sugar would go low, so she would eat something to make it go back up. But it's just part of being educated on what you can and can't eat, and what you need to eat in order for it to stay in control and to keep you from getting it if you have prediabetes. Because my sister was actually diagnosed with prediabetes, so you can control it to where you don't actually get full-blown diabetes if you do what you're supposed to. There's a lot of people that they're not educated on how to handle it. They think just because we're young, that's the main cause. People think just because we're young, oh, we'll be fine, we'll get it when we're old. But you got to think ahead. There's a lot of risk factors with this. You can even there's a lot of these different these things that come along with it, like the kidney disease, blindness, stroke, all this stuff comes along with it. It can cause a lot of health problems in the future. But there are some potential treatments for this for diabetes. Like I said, your behavior of what you eat and how you exercise and what kind of foods you eat determine if you're going to get it, or it makes your risk go up higher, especially if it's genetic. Like I said, there are also some medical, there's there's some treatments you can go through that online that tell you how to avoid, getting it, like what to do. Like there's some steps you can go on, online to tell you how to handle it. Um, but there are ways, like I said, I know I'm kind of rambling, but there are a lot of ways you can prevent getting it. It's just a step-by-step process and being smart on how you handle it. But I think that's it.